Okay, so we look at the Surge 2 at 21:9. It's finally here. I've been properly anticipating this release since its first tease announcement, and it's lovely to eventually be able to play it. The first game was a beautiful surprise that ticked all the boxes for me, so I really have quite a lot riding on what this should be able to provide. Honestly, I'm not looking for a completely radical improvement on the first, just more of the first game really. So the gameplay correctly shows off more on the sides of the screen at all moments. The HUD scales the sides of the screen, and it actually has the built-in option to have you position it at a variety of positions, such as lock to 16:9 if you prefer it in a more central view. Cutscenes, both the pre-rendered scenes and the in-game scenes, are all ultra-wide, so they fill up the screen fantastically, and the menus are all ultra-wide, and so are the loaded screens. It's lovely. Performance-wise, this is the big letdown. The optimization simply isn't here, and it's a massive shame because it's making the game painful to enjoy a lot of the time. The FPS status frequently, rarely ever holding steady, with objects popping in, general loading issues, and worst of all, it doesn't really matter at all what graphic settings you change. Have them pumped all the way up, or dropped all the way to the floor, and you'll see relatively little average difference to your FPS numbers, and you'll still get significant enough FPS fluctuations to make the experience stuttery, even on a G-Sync monitor. And this is something that is annoying at best in most games, and detrimental in these kind of games due to the combat style. So yeah, at 30x40x1440 on a GTX 1080 Ti, I would barely hold a steady 60 FPS even when I had locked the FPS cap to 60. I would find myself often dropping into the 50s, especially if I moved quickly throughout any part of the world. Now, I do expect this to be rectified in the future with a patch, but that's never acceptable. Stop launching games with the promise of a future patch. It really ruins the initial experience and tarnishes the image. General PC support wise, there is full mouse and keyboard support and surround sound support, among some other welcome options, so there's no complaints here. Gameplay wise, this doesn't differ vastly from the first game, but there are some aspects that have changed. For one, this is far more ambitious in scale. It takes place across a city with an increasing plethora of shortcuts to open up, and it very quickly became a sprawling maze of tunnels, lifts, and grappling routes, and I'll be honest, I'm slightly on the fence on this. I loved how it worked in the first game, and I think they really got it perfectly balanced with shortcut to linear level design ratio. However, this turns it up to 200%, and I think it's too much. There is too much interconnectivity, and it slightly takes away from the feeling of progression in a way. You feel less satisfaction from the idea of moving forwards, and at the same time, Christ, is it complicated. There is a little too much lost wandering around trying to remember where something was and what route was to get there. On the whole though, level design is interesting. Pretty much every area feels unique with enemy characters and a story for what may have happened for it to be in the state that it is, and enemy character variations are equally diverse with a variety of types, styles and difficulties as you progress. On the topic of difficulty, this will feel too easy to begin with if you have any experience with the first game, or dare I say the words, Dark Souls, and you'll initially probably feel, like I did, that this was worryingly easy. You're showered with a ton of upgrades and items, and enemies don't pose any real challenge. However, after you start to question whether you have some easy difficulty setting switched on or something, that's exactly when you'll find yourself shouting at yourself for being so dumb as you get your ass kicked for the 50th time. So yeah, don't worry, this will enrage you just as much as I'm sure you're hoping it will, and it's all the more lovable for it. It just doesn't shove you in the deep end for the first while. Now, another negative for me are the smattering of classic post-apocalyptic NPCs that have shops and the like around. Again, I feel the first game did a better job of limiting the number of friendly humans, which helped the core personality to the game. And these guys are just two stereotypical Borderlands or Rage or Mad Max types. And this world filled with humans, again, takes away from the lone thriller survival edge the original game had. Now, I'm not saying this is a really bad thing, it's just more of a shift of the feel to the game, and that might be good for some people and bad for others. But I want to end on a massive high though, and just say the combat is as exceptional as ever. The total variety of weapons, attack angles, the body selection process, etc. are all amazing, and I can't fault it. I really, really enjoy this, and it is without a doubt the key reason you must play this game. The Surge 2 is riveting. It poses a solid difficulty challenge, the story is great, and above all, the combat is fantastic. But the world is a step back from the first game. That precise character has been lost, the claustrophobia, the thriller, horror element removed. I absolutely still recommend buying this, but I would still rank the first game a little better, and I would absolutely say play the first before you play this, if anything, because the stories are linked. I'm going to give this a WAF score of 5. I really can't fault a single part of the ultra-wide support, to be honest. So I hope that gives you some information on how the game runs at 21x9. Give this video a like if you found it helpful, and subscribe for future info. For other games at 21x9, head over to my channel, the WAF website. Hopefully I've covered it. If I haven't, then leave a comment down below and I'll try and cover it. And if you'd like to support the channel, then it's my Patreon page in the description, and Amazon affiliate links are there too. See you later.